Look what came in the mail. I am excited to share with you 5 tips for buying garden seeds on today's episode of Homestead Coffee Talk. This morning, grab your coffee, tea, water, whatever it is that you are drinking, and let's jump into some tips about purchasing seeds. I don't know if you are like I am, but when I get the new seed catalogs, I get super excited. I love going through all of the different varieties and looking at new offerings that they have available, and it's just fun to go through and shop. But there are some mistakes that I've made in the past and some tips that I think could really benefit you if you are getting ready to buy your garden seeds this year. The first tip is to make sure that you buy early. So as soon as you get your catalog or as soon as you can get your order together, I would hop online and put it in. Last year we saw a lot of issues with weather throughout the United States, and that really did cause a lot of disruptions to the crops and how much was produced, which will in turn affect how much they were able to save for seeds for the next year. So I would make sure that I hop on that early and go ahead and get those orders placed. Just because you're buying your seeds now doesn't mean that it has to be ready to go in the ground or anything like that, but you can go ahead and purchase that, have them on hand, and then as soon as you're ready to get started growing some things, you're gonna be set and good to go. The second tip I have for you today is don't shop while you're hungry. You might have heard this before when it comes to going to the grocery store. They say that you should never shop when you're hungry because when you go in, you always end up buying way more than you actually needed. You get home and you have these random things in your cart that you never expected to find, or you wouldn't have normally picked up, I guess I should say. And you come home, you've got those in your cart, and now they're at your house and you're eating extra snacks or trying to find uses for some random products that you purchased that you didn't necessarily need. If we shouldn't go to the grocery store hungry, we really shouldn't go seed shopping hungry either. And what I really mean by that is try to have somewhat of a list in mind before you even crack open your seed catalog or before you even start scrolling online. I am someone who loves to see all of the new varieties of things, and if I'm not careful, I can definitely come up with a list going through the catalog. So if I don't have something in mind first and I just go through the catalog and make a list, next thing I know, there are 4 varieties of beans on my list, of green beans, or I have, I don't know, 8 different varieties of tomato plants in my cart. And if you have a purpose for them and that's what you intended to do, not a problem. But if you didn't have a purpose for that and you just thought it looked good because the photo was shiny and beautiful and it was colorful and it looks like something new and exciting you want to try, it might not be the best use of your garden space or your money that you're spending on seeds. So try to have somewhat of a list going into your shopping experience. Don't go in hungry. The third tip that I have for you is to make sure that the seeds you are picking are suitable for your grow zone. One of the reasons why you might have noticed this is the territorial seed catalog. One of the things that I like about purchasing seeds from them is that they are a fairly local seed company to us. They're located in Oregon, so it's in the Pacific Northwest. Their grow zones are very similar to ours, and many of the items, if not most of the items in their catalog, are going to be suitable for our grow zone here. Many times I have found something that I really liked and I thought, oh, this is gonna be great. I wanna try it. We've never grown it before. My parents never grew it before. I think this is gonna be wonderful. Well, the reason they never grew it was because it's not suitable for our grow zone. Even within your grow zone, so we're in zone 8A, and even within that grow zone, we might be the same as someone else. And it's going to still be different because of where they're located. Their length of day is a little bit different. They don't have quite as short of a growing season as we do, just because our daylight hours are a little bit different. So even your latitude can make a difference in whether or not something is going to be a good fit for your grow zone. So just be mindful of that as you're looking at different things. And if you're seeing something new that you've never seen grown in your area before, double check to make sure it's something that's going to be suitable for your area. The fourth tip I have for you is to look at the plant size when you are going to be purchasing it to see if it's suitable for your space. Here's what I mean by that. For example, let me flip to the cabbage section here. So if we take a look at the cabbage, for example, there are different sizes of plants that are going to be suitable for different things. If you're not limited on space, this isn't going to be an issue for you. If you're putting in a square foot garden, you do want to be careful what size plants you're picking up. When I was doing my urban garden, I had the square feet all marked out so that I knew what to plant in there, and you can get 1 cabbage plant per square foot. But there's a big difference between a cabbage plant that's going to fit within that square foot and one that's going to grow outside of that and be much larger. So when I'm looking for something that's going to grow in that space, I'm looking for something that's going to be a little bit smaller. For example, the tiara cabbages, it says a mighty mini cabbage. They are about 3 pounds a piece, 6-inch heads. Your plant itself is going to be a little bit smaller because the head size is smaller. So those were something that I would plant in my small square foot garden. If I keep looking here, we've got some larger heads. For instance, Clearly I haven't looked through here very much yet. They have some larger heads. Even the Charmant variety, for example, the heads are 6 to 8 inches across. So you might have some smaller plants, but you might also have something that is a little bit larger, and that's not going to be as helpful. January King, those are some that they'll have often in the fall, the fall catalog, and those are much larger plants. And if you're trying to put them in with a lot of other items, it might not be the best fit for a small compact garden. But as you're looking for plants that are going to go in a smaller space, just be mindful that they're going to be something that's compact enough to not be taking up and taking over your whole bed, because you just don't have space for that with a small square foot garden. And the fifth item that you need to be mindful of is to make sure that you're considering your ultimate purpose. Are you going to be saving seeds? As you're going through the catalog, you're going to notice that there are some things labeled F1, which would be a hybrid variety, and that means that you're not going to be able to save seed from that variety because it is crossed with a couple of things or changed in a little different way, and you're not going to get the true seed from saving that seed, if that makes sense. So you want to be mindful of that and get an heirloom variety that's going to allow you to be able to save seed from that. The other thing that you have to consider when you're talking about saving seed is if items are going to cross-pollinate. When I lived in my urban setting and I just didn't have space to be able to save seed, I had a small compact garden and I really was just trying to utilize it the best I could for fresh eating, and there wasn't room to let plants really grow for the length of time that they needed to in order to produce seed. So I never worried about it when I was purchasing in that type of environment. It didn't matter to me if it was hybrid or heirloom. When I moved out to the homestead here, we are working on saving seed, and there are some varieties or some types of plants where it can cross-pollinate, and you want to make sure that you're only having one variety if you want to keep that variety true and save the seed from that variety. For example, corn, if you're going to be saving seed from corn, you want to make sure that you only have one variety that you're planting. Otherwise, it's going to cross-pollinate and you're not going to get a true seed for your future crops. Just check into it depending on what it is that you're trying to save seed for. You might only want to have one variety or maybe two that are very far away from each other so that you can keep that seed as pure as possible. And here's a bonus tip for you. A lot of people put their order in online. I know that's how I like to order, but I would recommend saving the seed catalog. In this catalog, and mainly I'm talking about Territorial just because that's where I've typically ordered from. I've ordered some from Johnny's as well, but mainly I've ordered from Territorial. And within the catalog, it's just a wealth of information that can really help you as far as understanding a little more about the grow zones or some different diseases that particular plants might be prone to, or pests that it might be prone to. It talks a little bit about the seed life, so you know if the seeds should last 2 years or 3 years or whatever the viability might be there. And there's just a lot of really good information. So I like to keep the current catalog on hand just so that I have that as a resource to be able to go back to, especially if I'm purchasing seed from them. I hope this has been helpful to you today. If you found value from today's coffee talk, don't forget to click like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what are some things you are excited to order up, and when are you planning to put in your seed order? Have you already done that? Have you gotten a jump on it and you're ready to go for the new year? What are your plans? And let's talk about it together, and I can't wait to see you back here next time. Bye everyone.